Alright, welcome to the start of a new anime review series. This is the most notorious talker runs the world's greatest clan. I checked the series out purely out of curiosity. And shows the fact basically this is the second anime I've ever come across where the main character is a massive dick. And he is very cruel. I have not seen an anime lead has this type of personality since Reduva Healer. But unlike Reduva Healer, who basically uses stuff to basically rape women, not the main character of this series, oh no. First, we start in a flashback where we have these things called the Beast Lords attacking this town for reasons and depicting violence. I see people basically sliced in half by these damn things. Where the heck these things came from is never really explained. So our main character's grandfather, whose name is Brandon Stoll, who's also a nickname of Overkill. Yes, Overkill. Puts on his armor, slices up things to buy time for reinforcements to arrive. And oh boy, so Noel's parents get killed off here just by sheer randomness. And the grandfather is found barely alive, but he's been chopped in half. And then he dies after basically conveying a message to Noel. Then we jump at the present day, where it seems more reasonable, where we have our party of individuals. Noel, who is referred to, you see, people in this world are referred to as seekers, technically in a way very powerful adventurers seeking fame and fortune. And his job is a talker. Yep, that is a skill. This is the first anime I've ever come across where it has that concept. Where saying some words buffs up basically his party. Comprised of the leader Lloyd, who is a swordsman. We also have Walter, who is an axeman, and Tanya, the healer. They take out some vampires, and everybody's like worried about Noel. And then, of course, basically, like, oh, so he comes up with the ingenious idea because he needs to get the whole thing about getting more money, best weapons. Lloyd doesn't like the fact how greedy the man is, so Lloyd comes to the idea of basically turn the party into a clan. So they can get more jobs, means more money. Walter, of course, has not really a big issue with this at all. Lloyd is very hesitant, and Tanya basically is overruling the matter. And apparently you have to have 20 million whatever currency, I think it's called Fells, I think it's called. But according to Lloyd, he does ask the party fund, which is basically like 6 million, I think it was. And basically he would buy over 7 million to basically compensate for the create this clan. And then just, let's meet the day after tomorrow at his place. And then we cut to Lloyd working out in his room. Let me say that again. In a fantasy setting where we have magic, bows, and arrows, and he's lifting weights. Now, he is by far, for a fantasy series, he is the second main character I've ever seen do this in a fantasy setting. The last character I can think of that ever did this was the main character Martial Magic and Muscles, but at least he was hilarious. And then he's about to, oh crap, basically Lloyd and Tanya have fled town with their money. Oh yeah, and then it's discovered in the next episode that, Lloyd has been embezzling money to pay off gambling debts. So he basically just barges into the place they were just in the previous day, the Orc Bar. And this is interesting about this place. I don't know what type of world this is. I mean, you initially think, it's a fantasy setting. then why in the world does the wall look like it's made of metal? Yeah, it looks like something out of the future with this type of thing. Something you would see in something like Judge Dredd. And the bar is covered in sheet metal. Now, normally you would not see this in a fantasy setting. Yes, in a fantasy setting. That was like, I'll pay $2 million to find basically our missing party members who decide to flee with our money. And everybody leaves to go find the two people who find which gate they left out. They don't know what gate of those that they left. And then we have this very suspicious guy that says, oh, I can tell you, just pay me that money, I'll pay you $1 million. What, really? I got 44 people. Split 4 ways, $250,000 apiece, which, according to U.S. currency, is actually not bad of a deal between 4 people. So, apparently from the South Gate, they apparently passed by them. So, then of course, Lloyd's like, I'll meet you at that gate, I have a little errand to take care of. And then Lloyd arrives later with Walter, who's basically got his axe back again. And they race out, and then we see that Lloyd and Tanya have fled to this town. It's like, we'll stay here for a bit, then we'll flee to the next town, next day. And then Noel just randomly shows up right behind them. Okay. And, of course, basically they explain, oh yeah, he's been dipping into funds, like, oh, the whole thing, like oh, there was a failed investment, he took money out of the funds to pay for that. No, it was actually out of debt that he accumulated because, well, the best way to describe this, yeah, so, it's like, oh, like they were gambling, they were playing some kind of card game. Apparently Tanya was forced to confess using his ability, and revealed that she was in on too. She was the one giving the money to him, and the only reason why they were losing money was because he refused to allow her to play for reasons. So he's like, yeah, because you two committed investment. Of course, he proceeds to kick basically Lloyd while he's down. And it's like, yeah, embezzlement is punishable by 10 years of hard labor. And then we have this weird guy referred to as the Mad Clown show up. And basically says to him, oh yeah, because of the fact you embezzled my money, well, excuse me, embezzled the party's money, I'm selling you two into slavery. I'm like, I see this, I'm like, what? He sells his own friends into slavery because of how cold a person he is. Yeah, and negotiated the price. And apparently, the church has been trying to get the rich to pull back on their luxuries. Why? Yeah, this is completely random. Like, oh yeah, you can't spend too much, otherwise, oh, you're an ire of the church. Just because you dare spend money because you're freaking rich. I'm like, that sounds stupid. Oh yeah, and by the way, this guy is part of some mafia. Like, oh yeah, we'll find some nice buyers. Yeah, and then Lloyd and Tanya basically sold off. Walter doesn't like this very much, so he just retires from being an adventurer. Oh, by the way, the part is named Blue Beyond. So by the end of the episode, Lloyd's like, well, gotta start from scratch, because he had to fire, he had oust two of the party for embezzlement, and one party member quit. But of course, basically, he didn't sell him to slavery, he just gave him a bottle of whiskey for him to basically drink in his travels. I'm like, fine. He probably didn't like what we... From what I can tell anyways, in the case of Walter, he probably didn't like the fact to see two of his friends sold to slavery. I mean, it's not like basically he kind of suspected Noel's ambition, but it's like basically the whole thing creating a clan. That would be a good idea. And of course Noel did want him on his side, but he's just politely tells him no, he just wants to give up being a seeker. And Noel is fine with it. And despite the fact he's somewhat of an idiot, but he is an excellent warrior. So he has that on him. Maybe he can hire as a bodyguard. Who knows? And then he goes off, so basically Noel proceeds to basically find himself some new party members. And in the episode, So, oh yeah, by the way, he sold him for 15 million, and then he'll brag the fact, oh yeah, you actually bought him for 30 million, basically more. We allegedly buying more, and that will cause him to be sold to a kind family. Okay, but that's the first 2 episodes in that show. It's a very dark series, mind you, and like in the case of Bogus Fruit Master, no dub. Yep, no dub. So, how many series so far this year have I come across where there is currently no dub? The first one this year I come across like this is Welcome to Japan, Miss Elf. The second one was I'm the Lord of Intergalactic Empire. The third one is Yandere Dark Elf. Actually, no, I better change this because they just announced they'd be dubbed for this one, so gotta take that off the list. Yeah, because apparently the dub's coming for that next month. I'm like, okay, interesting. So far, I mean, at the time, basically, there wasn't a dub, but now there's a dub coming. So, right now, just Welcome to Japan myself, still a dub for that one. I'm Evil Lord of the Empire. The Daily Life of Middle-Aged Online Shopper in the World. I'm the Noble on a brick and road who's try mastering magic. Scuba the Wrestling Adventure. The Shy Hero and the Assassin Princesses. The Banished from Here Lives as He Pleases. The Bogus Fruit Master. And the most notorious talker runs the Railroad Race Clan. Yeah, overall this is the 9th series where, as of currently, there is no dub. Yandere Dark Elf, which just recently announced it's getting a dub. I'm very happy it's got a dub. I'll probably watch when it comes out. Maybe, yes. Oh, Billy, okay, this actually got a dub, I remember that. I don't know why in the world, basically, that guy like that. Yeah, this one actually got a dub, so as of currently, or basically where I watched it, it was a dub right away. So far, just been Don, Dragon Ball Daima, Why Is There Memory in This World, Firene, I Left My Enemy Adventure to Performance Students Explore Dungeon Depths, From a Country of the Master Swordsman, My Hero Vigilante, Steamboat 2099, The Apothecary Diaries, The Brilliant Heroes in Life and Shadows, The Other LTM Master, Black Summoner, Am I Actually Strongest, Beginning of the End, Isekai Cheap Edition, New Saga, The Unique Skill Makes It OP even Level 1, Campfire Skill with Obscure Skill, The Great Seal of Super Nobody, and the Wanted Adventurer. So far it's been 20 anime where basically dub right away. And don't worry, my very next anime, when I finish this one, that one's dubbed. Yep. Okay, also, there was a light novel series. I only read the manga. I never read a light novel series. Get this. The first one was released only 5 years ago. You're like, really? 5 years ago? And you'll find this more interesting. So they released this particular show 4 years after Volume 1 came out. And you're like, really? Oh yeah, really? Because it was like 4 years... Actually, it was like 4 years and 4 months. Actually, no. This is also really kind of weird when it comes to this series. A good thing, basically, I read the manga first. So, apparently the manga precedes the light novel by about 2 weeks. You're like, really? Yeah, really. I'm thinking that's kind of weird. So, by the time the anime finished, which is back in December, which was 8 months ago, they still only released 4 volumes in Japan. Here, basically, all 4 volumes released here as of this past May. The manga. They basically released 9 volumes here. I've read the first 8 because that's where the anime left off. Now, despite the fact the season is wrapped up, is there any news of like a season 2? Not really, no. So, The studio who one of the studios produces is called Felix Film. And aside from this anime, there is Saving 8,000 Go My Time in Another World, Scooped Up as an Adventure, just happened to be another anime I just happened to come across like that. And that's it. You're like, really? Yeah, just by sheer coincidence. I just happened to come across the anime that I'm currently watching that is produced by a studio that airing an anime I'm watching right now. I'm like, that's interesting. Was it like the also with the Shy Hero these as the princesses, or one of the anime you like? Oh, wasn't like yeah. Just by sheer coincidence, this also happened with my last anime too, where and one of the anime I'm reviewing right now is which is the Shy Heroes as Princesses. That's also made with the same studio, which was from the last anime I just finished wrapping up, which was the Unwanted Undead Adventurer. Which, that just by sheer coincidence, that it just happened to be like that. The other studio made is called Ga Crew. Not sure what stuff they made, but that's their studio that basically was on this one. Yes. Now, in case you're curious, though, yes, his name is Noel. As far as I can tell, the whole thing with Noel being an anime lead name, that as far as I can tell, it doesn't happen very often. Lloyd is a very popular name for a lead. Noel? You think a name like Noel, it's like, oh, it's a female character. So, basically, in the case of Noel, there has been... Here's some examples. Noel, one of the witches, basically from Burn the Witch. This show. Claymore. Yes, Claymore. And I find it quite interesting. Now, for male characters, there hasn't really been that many. Yes, there is one character from... There's a show, obviously. So... For male character, it doesn't happen very often. How about female? Aside from Claymore, okay, so Noelle. Well, there is Noelle Selva from Black Clover, obviously. Okay. Let's see if we can find it here, because basically this is quite interesting. It's not a very common name I have come across. Yeah, pretty much just been Noelle from Black Clover. Let's see. Mostly just been Noelle from Black Clover, which, so, like I said, not many anime I have come across where you have a character named Noelle. Yeah, it's not very common. Yeah, not a very common name, but it's not a name that I come across. So, Noelle himself, the lead character, he dresses wearing this coat with this fur collar and fur cuffs, bottom of the coat. Wears black boots, red shirt, white pants. Also, he carries a revolver. Now that is interesting, because not a very common weapon held by a lead character. There's been roughly 2 other characters I can think of where the lead character's primary weapon is a revolver. One is a Freya, Hyjama's weapon, Donner. Yep, that's one. Another one is my smartphone. Guns are not very common in fantasy settings, and plus it's 5 magic bullets, obviously. Usually I've seen guns in some anime usually held by supporting characters, but lead characters? Noelle's the third one I've ever seen to do this. As for the whole thing of you have a character selling another character slavery, well, I think it's happened like one anime where it's like a minor character, but not like characters you see on screen. Yeah, it's not very common, mainly because basically anime try to stay away from that. That's primary reason for that. Okay, how about a character have an axe? That's common in a lot of anime. He does mention basically looking for a scout, but we'll find out more characters as the series goes on. But after my comic corner, what I'm going to do next? The very next thing we're going to do is going to watch New Saga. Afterwards, back to this basically for the remainder of the season. Yep. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the video. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications. Next up is a comic corner. Okay, next video. Bye.